from NoDQ.com with some sad news to report. Vader, former WWE superstar and WCW superstar, has passed away at the age of 63. You knew that he wasn't going to be long for this world when he made those posts in recent years about having to have open heart surgery, and you were hoping for the best, but you knew that the health issues were there. So this wasn't all that much of a surprise, but still, that doesn't make it any sadder nonetheless. What makes the whole situation sad to me is that Vader never got the chance to go into the Hall of Fame while alive, and I think that that really sucks. There were opportunities. He could have been inducted this year, and it didn't happen. So let's go ahead and talk about Vader and his career. He had a great career. He was an international superstar. He competed in Japan for several years, and I remember his first significant WCW match being in 1990 at the Great American Bash pay-per-view, which was also the show where Ric Flair and Sting had their match, and Sting won his first World Heavyweight title. Vader also made an appearance on that show, but that wasn't what was most memorable about that show. And I believe Vader went back to Japan. He really did not become a full-time WCW star, I believe, until a year later in 1991. And it was really in 92 where Vader started to become a major force in the industry. He got this monster heel push in 92, which led to him eventually becoming the world champion. Him and Sting had some great matches in 92. You can go back on the network and watch those matches between Vader and Sting. Great feud they had. One of the best feuds, some would say the best feud in wrestling in 1992. Vader also had some matches with Ron Simmons, and Ron Simmons actually did win the world title and became the first African-American world champion, which was a big deal at the time. But Vader would go on to dominate. If he would lose the title, he would regain it. And he would beat Sting on several occasions. Sting would go back and forth, winning matches, losing matches. It was a very entertaining feud. That was the one that I remember the most, although there is another memorable feud with Vader during that period, and that's with Cactus Jack. And there's been all the stories about their matches. Of course, the most famous match where Cactus Jack's ear got ripped off in a match with Vader. And then later in 93, there was this feud between Vader and Ric Flair, which led to Starrcade 93, one of the best WCW build-ups ever, in my opinion. I love the storyline where Flair was putting his career on the line against Vader, back then when putting your career on the line actually meant something. And I remember all the little segments during the show where Mean Gene Okerlund went to Sting's house. Not Sting, wow, I'm just totally screwing up here. We're live, folks. Gene Okerlund went to Ric Flair's house and would interview Flair, and then they were talking in the limo, and Vader had Harley Race at his side, which really added to the whole package of Vader, that he had this legend in Harley Race managing him, for Harley Race to be the advocate for Vader, much like today Paul Heyman is the advocate for Brock Lesnar. That really helped get Vader over, in my opinion, the fact that he had Harley Race endorsing him and being his manager. But yeah, Starrcade 93, Ric Flair and Vader. Flair won the title. Great match. Vader would continue to be dominant in WCW, and throughout 94 he would have more entertaining matches and feuds. But then he went on to feud with Hulk Hogan after Hogan came into WCW. And at this point, Vader's career started to decline a little bit in WCW because, let's face it, once Hogan came in, it became the Hulk Hogan show, and Vader became the big guy taking the fall for Hulk Hogan. He wasn't the dominant monster that he was a year or two prior, but rather he was putting over Hogan. And I remember Uncensored, Hogan versus Vader. I guess they did protect Vader because they had Hogan beat Vader by beating Ric Flair. And don't ask me to try and explain that. WCW booking for you. Vader then turned babyface in the summer of '95 and was originally scheduled to team up with Hogan and Sting and Randy Savage at the Fall Brawl match, but then Vader had a falling out with WCW and he left the company. This opened the door for Lex Luger to show up on the first Nitro and take Vader's spot in that War Games match, and the rest is history. So Vader left WCW at this time around September '95, and a few months later he would show up in WWE at the Royal Rumble. And very interesting build for Vader. They had him come in, lots of fanfare, and then the next night on Raw, they did one of the best Raw angles of that early era, pre-Attitude Era, where Vader beat up Gorilla Monsoon and got suspended. Great angle. Definitely one of my favorites of the early Monday Night Raw era. Vader would come back about a month later, and at WrestleMania they did a 6-person tag team match, which Vader's team won. Vader would feud with Yokozuna, which made sense because they were the two dominant monsters of the '92-'93 period. Vader would then go on to feud with Shawn Michaels for the WWE title, and this was perhaps Vader's peak in WWE when he main evented against Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam '96. In my opinion, this should have been Vader's time. You know, he says it's Vader time. I think WWE dropped the ball not giving him a run with the world title. When he lost to Shawn Michaels, and the match was a bit convoluted, they would have the match end in DQ and then be restarted and then ended in countout and then restarted, and then eventually Shawn Michaels won. So it was booked as this controversial match so Vader could potentially get his rematch with Shawn, but that match never really happened. I feel like Vader lost a little bit of his credibility when he failed to win the world title from Shawn Michaels. But he continued to be booked fairly strongly for the rest of '96. He would have matches with Sid. He was part of the Final Four. Great match, by the way, on the network, the Final Four in '97. And Vader got busted up really bad in that match from what I remember. That one was great. And then after that, Vader started to decline. He started to move into the mid-card. I remember there was an incident with a reporter or news anchor, I believe in Kuwait, but I'm not sure off the top of my head, where the guy asked Vader about wrestling being fake, and Vader got on a tirade and just lashed into the guy. And it was a bit controversial. It was like Dr. D. David Schultz, but not quite as severe with the slapping, but still Vader was giving the guy a hard time. And WWE tried to use that to turn Vader into a bully character, and this led to Ken Shamrock versus Vader at the In Your House pay-per-view. I believe it's Cold Day in Hell. The one that was Austin versus Undertaker is the main event. And Ken Shamrock won. He beat the bully, and like I said, at this point Vader was moving down the card. A couple months later, Vader turned babyface. He had a memorable feud, in my opinion, with Goldust when Goldust was doing The Artist, formerly known as Goldust, and Luna got into the mix. And I enjoyed the Royal Rumble match with Vader versus Goldust, with Vader hitting the Vader bomb with Luna on his back. That was a cool spot. But then I guess there were issues with WWE and Vader. The company was concerned about his weight. They wanted him to lose weight, and the deal was that he had to lose weight if he wanted to be pushed again. And he never really got pushed strongly in WWE at that point. '98, he was pretty much in the lower card, just putting over other guys. And I think he had a match with Bradshaw that might have been his last match, one of his last matches in WWE. So Vader, after WWE, the end of '98, he left. He would continue to wrestle in Japan and around the world. He would wrestle for many years after that. He would continue to stay active. He never did go back to WCW. He would make occasional appearances in WWE, including 2005 at the Cyber Sunday or Taboo Tuesday, whatever it was called. Unfortunately, I remember I was there for this. It was right before the pay-per-view. He was introduced and he actually slipped at ringside, and it was really embarrassing. And I don't know if that was a factor in WWE not wanting to keep him around. But I remember, like, he used profanity. He was frustrated with that. And yeah, they had that one-off match at the pay-per-view. And then I think he made a few more appearances after that, every now and then in a Legend segment. But yeah, Vader was one of the most dominant heels of the 1990s. And I think it's a real shame that WWE did not induct him into the Hall of Fame this year when he was still alive, you know? It just sucks because you had the opportunity, you knew the guy had health problems, so why not just do it while he's still alive? Yeah, it's a real bummer, it's a real downer, and my condolences to his family. No doubt one of the best big men in wrestling history. So leave a comment. I know some of you have been leaving a comment in the live chat room. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest as more details become available about his passing. And I will see you guys soon. Make sure you check out the season finale of Wrestling Trivia Challenge. That one was an awesome match. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you later.